liking what I'm seeing from you guys. Thank you for all the support. And yeah, let's jump right into tonight's video. Okay, checking some up on my phone right now, and also, if I ever repeat any of the start bench cuts, pictures, or talking or discussions, they may be the same, but they can come out as different answers. So maybe if I see one and maybe I forgot that I'd done it, or maybe it's this one that's slightly closer to one we've done before. Again, I don't remember those ones, but also, it could be a different answer. Players change all the time, potential change all the time, so it could be a little different. But this one I'm seeing right now is one, and most of these are probably from Hoop Central. I think a majority of these are from Hoop Central. And this one is a start bench cut of Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic. Man, that is very tough in my opinion. Man. Okay, well, I'm not trying to make these quick or anything like that. I'm not trying to say, this guy and this guy and this guy's out, or this guy and this guy because this guy sucks, because obviously none of these players suck that I'm even going to be talking about the entire video off of. It really just comes down to mostly if it's like a real team and I'm building a real team, or if it's like, oh, this player and this player are just better than this player. That's really never the way I think of things when doing these videos. I always think of, well, you're starting one on a team, you're benching one on your team, and you're cutting one from your team. So it's a team thing. That's what I always think about it when I do this. You can have your own opinion. You can think about, oh, this guy and this guy are just better than this guy. You can also think that too. I always think of it as like a team thing, like I'm building the best team I can. And when it comes to building the best team I can, I think Anthony Davis might be the only like one that you should not cut at all. Like, he's great defensively, he's really good offensively, he's not the best facilitator, but he plays like a bigger guard, and I just feel like, sure, Jokic and Embiid probably are more like a specialist type of big man, but I feel like Anthony Davis is just really good at everything. So I think AD is the safe one for sure. He's either a starter or bench. I think I'll just start him just because he's probably more versatile than the other bigs as well. So when it comes to the start bench cut, I think I'm going to go Anthony Davis to start. And then this is when it gets really scary, is when I start talking about Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid. And man, this year, like, I think one of them is definitely doing better than the other. I think one's team is doing better than the other. I really do feel like Embiid is having a very good year this year, and the 76ers look like they're finally starting to come out and being the team that we all sort of hoped they would be for a long time. I think right now they're third in the East, maybe top four in the East. At one point in time, the best team in the East, record-wise. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him and from them. And then on the other hand, there's Jokic, who is just always just such a good player. Hands down the best passer, big man of all time. I mean, there's always like Sabonis, not DeMontis. It's like Artrinus Sabonis, something like that. He played for Portland for a little bit, but he was a very good player, and he was always recognized as one of the best packing big men of all time. But now, Jokic definitely has that crown for sure. And when it comes to having another big man on my team, although Anthony Davis isn't the best facilitator he can be, his defense is really good. I think I just gotta bench Jokic, right? Even if it is like a fantasy thing and there's like injuries turned off like on 2K, I think just having Jokic on whatever team I had, which Davis, but I still think I'm gonna pick Jokic as my bench. So I'm gonna start Anthony Davis. I'm gonna bench Jokic. And sorry, but I think I'm gonna have to cut Embiid. Okay, here's a really cool one. Again, when I said I do, these start bench cuts. It's not always just a start bench cut. It can be other sort of things around it. And this one is, you can only keep 3. You can only keep 3. You can only keep 3. The players listed are Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, Kevin Durant, Larry Bird, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dwayne Wade, and Steph Curry. Now that's definitely very tough. Now again, you can always put this into a way of, oh well, this player and this player and this player are just the greater of the players and they should go on. You can think of it as, oh well, if I want 3 players, I want to build a team with them, so you pick a guard, a forward, and a big. You can do that. I don't know, it's just whatever you want to do. Like, there's no wrong answers here. They're all literally, like, goats of the game for sure. They're some of the best players of all time. I think one of them is safe no matter what you do, no matter what way you look at it, at least in my opinion. And that's Shaq. If you're trying to build, the best team, if you're trying to do, the most talented players, I think prime Shaq is the most dominant player in the NBA. He literally should have won multiple MVPs, but didn't for some reason. Multiple-time champion. In some of the hardest sort of times of the NBA, the 2000s, which are so many good teams, and the rise of the Spurs dynasty during that time as well. Like they were definitely a really good team, and Shaq was definitely a big part of that. So I think I'm picking Shaq no matter what. After that, it really just comes down to, what do you want to do? And for me personally, as I answered in my last video, I think of it in team-wise. If you want to think of it as, oh well, this player and this player and this player are just like the best players in the list, that's cool. You could pick like Tim Duncan because of championships, Steph Curry MVP seasons. You can pick Durant because he's like a great all-around player. But I'm picking team-wise. So if I'm building a team, what 3 players do I want on my team? For sure, Shaq. I think Shaq is a no-doubt one. Even defensively, Shaq back in the day was a god of a player. So even with all these other great players, he would still be very, very, very dominant in whatever he would do. Plus, I'm sure he'd still get a lot of touches. And if I'm building a team, obviously I need a guard. And that comes down to D-Wade or Curry. And, man, I mean, prime Dwayne Wade is one of the best players of all time. He should have won an MVP for sure. If there already wasn't like great players during that time, like Kobe and LeBron and all these other greats that were playing during his same time period, like 2008, 2009, 2007ish. Between that time period, D-Wade was unstoppable of a player and the 3rd greatest shooting guard of all time, only behind the GOAT and Kobe Bryant. So that's saying a lot. But if I'm building a team, I gotta go Steph Curry, and that's only because of ball movement, facilitating, stretching the floor, floor general. I think he's really gonna be good on not only giving the ball to Shaq, who's obviously the other player I'm picking, but creating his own shot, again creating space for Shaq, and Shaq also kicking it out for Steph for threes and stuff like that. Yeah, I think I gotta go Curry. So I'm picking Curry, I'm picking Shaq. You can obviously tell what I'm going with here now. I need a forward, and obviously I can't really play Kareem or Tim or Hakeem in this lineup because Shaq is already the guy in the paint. This isn't 2001 where you can have 2 bigs over 7 foot, and I want to play more of a new age style of NBA basketball like we do nowadays. So I can't really have another post style big when I have a Shaq already. So it comes down to KD and Larry Bird, and man, that is tough. I know for a lot of you people, a lot of you youngins out there would easily pick Kevin Durant, but for me, it's definitely a lot harder of a decision. I love Larry Bird, one of my favorite players of all time, one of the GOATs of the NBA. And you have Kevin Durant, arguably, like, very much arguably, like, he's up there with some of the most unstoppable players of all time, like a 7-footer who plays like a Kyrie Irving. Like, he's So, I would say if I picked D Wade, if I would have picked Dwayne over Steph, I would pick right now Larry Bird because of his facilitating ability is definitely better than Kevin Durant's. Larry Bird is, besides LeBron, maybe the best passing sort of small forward of all time for sure. Only behind LeBron James. So Larry Bird's vision was unstoppable in his percentage. His 3-point looks were always really good. One of the best of all time for a 3-point shooter. But he ain't got range like Kevin Durant. He probably is he a better defender than Kevin Durant? Oh man, maybe. That's very arguable. So, but scoring wise, I still think KD is probably better than Larry Bird. Even though Larry Bird is a god on the offensive end. But again, we have Curry as the facilitator, good passer. You have KD as the scorer. Then you have the big man down in the paint, dominating any which way he can in Shaq. So, only pick 3. I'm picking Curry. I'm picking Durant. I'm picking Shaq. I think another good combo would be D Wade, Larry, and Akeem would be really cool. Or D Wade, Larry, and Shaq. Or if you want to go just like the best players available, I mean, you could definitely go Kareem and Larry and Tim Duncan. Like, it's just whatever which way you want to think about it when you think of only pick 3. It's whatever 3 you want. Here's another really cool recent one. It's a start bench cut. And this is between Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics, yet Zach LaVine from the Chicago Bulls, and CJ McCollum from the Portland Trail Blazers. Wow. This is good. This is definitely a really good one. If y'all know me, y'all know I'm very high on Jaylen Brown. I feel like he might be the perfect 2 guard in today's NBA. Maybe behind Klay Thompson. I think he's very valuable the way he plays. He's a 6'6", 6'7" guard who can defend really well, can score up to 30 points per game, continuing to up his 3-point percentage, being a better shooter, and he just looks like a really good, hard-working guy, and that's always going to win me over, so I'm going to start Jaylen Brown no matter what. Not only because is he a really good offensive player, can maybe hold up with sort of like these other players like Zach and CJ, but defense on another level, head and shoulders above both these guys. I'm starting Jaylen Brown. So it really just comes down to Zach LaVine or CJ McCollum. And if you would have asked me this question a year ago, months ago, before the season started, I would probably hands down say Zach LaVine. But it's a little bit trickier now because CJ's actually having a very, very, very good year right now. And, knocking on wood, not trying to jinx him or anything like that, but he's looking like he can potentially make an all-star team this year, which is super crazy because obviously without having Klay and maybe having a good sort of start to this season, he can really make a name for himself. Obviously, I don't think there even is an all-star game this year, but I'm assuming they're still going to announce all-stars, like they're going to vote for all-stars, but just not play the game. I think what's going to happen. CJ this season is averaging 28 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. I bet you did not know that unless you were following Portland. And then if we're looking at Chicago, and we're taking a look at Zach LaVine, who's obviously a player who can just light up the court whenever he wants to, is averaging 27 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. So basically a flip-flop and like a couple percentage points away in points per game. So 2 very similar players, for sure. And this, again, no wrong answers. I think you have to keep Jaylen Brown. If you don't keep Jaylen Brown, there's something wrong with you because he's just a defensive monster plus an offensive gifted player who can average like 24, 25 points per game. So that's really why I think he's the safest player to keep. But, again, it's whatever you want to go with. If you think Zach LaVine is a better player, which I think he probably is. He's also a younger player, so obviously has the potential level as well. But if you're building a team, I think CJ McCollum might be the better fit because we've already seen CJ McCollum play alongside a superstar player and still excel at it, being a 25-ish, give or take, point per game scorer with having a superstar of Damian Lillard on his team. Could you still see that sort of, Chicago. So with the team by himself. So plus, I do think if CJ McCollum were to play point guard in today's NBA, he would be a top point guard in the NBA. Like, we've seen him before when Damian isn't playing or doesn't play. He takes over that starting point guard role, and he looks really good at a point guard position. So I think if I'm, again, mindset building a team, I'm for sure picking CJ to play my point guard. Then you have Jaylen Brown who could play the 2. That's the way I'm sort of thinking about it. Still having, Jaylen at the 3 and Zach LaVine at the 2, which can work for sure. I think Jaylen Brown even plays mostly small forward now because Jason Tatum still plays power forward, which is stupid. But if I'm building a team, that's what I'm going with. So I'm picking Jaylen Brown to start. I'm benching CJ and I'm cutting Zach LaVine. Nothing against them, again, no wrong answers, but that's what I'm going with right now. But I'm picking CJ this year, right now, CJ. Not CJ last year, not CJ any year before, because this year it's starting to see that CJ is starting to really come into his own, really starting to feel really good when playing basketball, which is awesome. It's very exciting to see, so yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. Here's sort of another style of the one we did before with the pick 3. This one is, who's the best point guard here? And it's a picture of Russell Westbrook, Allen Iverson, Chris Paul, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, and Derrick Rose. Wow. Man, this is definitely a very tough one. I think right off rip, you can maybe sort of, obviously, again, there are no wrong answers. All these point guards are like goats of the point guard position, like for sure. So there's no wrong answers again. Let's see. I think off rip, I think Jason Kidd is a very underrated point guard and should go down as one of the best of all time, especially on the defensive end and the passing game wise, and obviously, IQ of the game is off the charts, but offensively wasn't really super gifted, and all these other players like literally carried their teams and franchises. I don't think Jason Kidd really ever did that. He was a great piece for New Jersey back in the day, but he had prime Vince Carter, prime Richard Jefferson, a really good Kenyon Martin player. Like, that team was really good and was probably going to be good anyways, but adding Jason Kidd made them great. So I think I'm booting out Jason Kidd. Love Jason Kidd, but not on that sort of tier. And then when it comes to being a point guard, no offense, and I'm not a Russ hater. You guys have heard me before saying that Russ is definitely getting too much hate right now. Is super underrated right now for no reason whatsoever. But I don't feel like he really matches up well with these other point guard players. If this question was who's the best player here, that's a different question. But the best point guard, we all have different interpretations of the point guard position. For me, Russell Westbrook isn't really the point guard, you know what I mean? So I'm not picking him. So we have Nash, Derrick Rose, Chris Paul, and Allen Iverson. This is really tough. Man. I think I'm gonna boot Nash, because Nash, again, one of the best point guards of all time, lived and breathed and ate off of that Mike D'Antoni offense that was ran through him. Would prime Steve Nash on any other team be that good? Answer that question for me. My answer is, I can't say. He did win 2 MVPs. He is one of the greatest point guards of all time, but you can't tell me that the system he was in was made for that. So, I'm booting him as well. So we have AI, Chris Paul, Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, I don't think we've really seen enough of him. In the picture, it does say all at their peak. And I think Derrick Rose was really good at his peak, but we're talking about Allen Iverson and Chris Paul here. Like, these guys are some of the goats of the game. Like, when we're talking Allen Iverson, this dude dragged a disgusting looking 76ers team to the finals against a god squad of the LA Lakers teams. And you have Chris Paul, who is always known to be as the perfect cookie cutter point guard in NBA history. Obviously, besides Magic Johnson being 6'8", 6'9", Chris Paul, if he was that height, would be one of the greatest players of all time, no doubt about it. So, no offense to Derrick Rose, I'm booting him as well. We got AI, we got Chris Paul, and man, this is really tough for me because it really also comes down to the interpretation of the word best. And if we're talking talent, if we're talking basketball skill, who is the most, who's the best talented player, it's obviously Allen Iverson, right? He has the scoring ability. He took his team to the finals, and Chris Paul has never done that before. Although competition was very different back in the days of Allen Iverson, he still got it done. He still stole a game off of one of the greatest teams of all time with Kobe and Shaq, and still doing it and averaging 30 plus points per game. A great on-ball stealer for his size, was really good. And then if we're talking best point guard, like we said before, cookie cutter point guard is Chris Paul. And if we're talking point guard, the pick is Chris Paul. So it's such a toss-up. I'm just gonna say Allen Iverson. Again, there's no wrong answers. This is all just for fun. I'm probably taking this too seriously and thinking too harshly about it, but I'm picking Allen Iverson. I think Allen Iverson, when people think of Allen Iverson as a two guard, I think that's totally off. I think Allen Iverson was a point guard, should be a point guard, and should be known as a point guard. I don't like the sort of notion of Allen Iverson being a shooting guard. He was a 6'1" ball handling guard in the NBA. I think he was mostly a point guard. Chris Paul on his peak, sort of like those early Clipper days, later Hornets days, he was one of the top players of all time, of that league during that time, and definitely should be known as that. But I mean, AI has MVPs, AI has scoring titles. I think dragging a team to the finals, so I think that it might make him a little bit better. And I'm already gonna wrap this up sort of soon, so we have another one here, and it is a pick your point guard. This one I'm gonna make kind of fast. We'll do another one after this. It's a pick your point guard of Damian Lillard or Kyrie Irving, and these guys have been compared to each other for years. I think I've also done a start one, bench one, cut one of these two players, maybe someone else. I mean, if we're talking about today's NBA, I'm picking Damian. If we're talking all time, I'm probably picking Damian. If we're talking at, their peaks, that might get a little touchy because, man, Kyrie Irving, 2016 finals with LeBron, going tit for tat with LeBron, keeping up with finals LeBron, scoring the ball with finals LeBron. Like, LeBron is the reason why they won the finals. Kyrie Irving is the first name you say after him. People forget that. Obviously not like the defensive end or facilitating or anything like that, but definitely scoring wise, one of the biggest reasons why they won the title that year for sure. So that's when things get a little different. But I mean, there's a picture of him with the Brooklyn Nets jersey on, so I'm assuming this is Kyrie Irving right now. Kyrie Irving right now is still an amazing player, but I'm still picking Damian. I think Damian's still one of the best leaders in sports, in all sports. Is a player who can still, drop 50 points a game whenever he can and whenever he wants to. I do think obviously Kyrie is more skilled of a player on dribbling, passing, things like that. I think he's better at him than that, but I'm still just picking Damian Lillard, the player, over, Kyrie Irving, the player, for sure. So that's kind of a quick one. Well, this one can also be kind of a quick one. It's a pick your duo, and it's of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, which, come on now. It's of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. That one's not too bad of a duo as well. And then lastly, it's Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. I do love me some Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think that's pretty obvious. I always talk about them in almost all my videos now. It's probably getting kind of annoying, but they're definitely safe. I'm not gonna say they're starter benching, but they're definitely safe. So it's between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. And this one's think about this, I can't obviously think about this as a team thing because it's pick a duo. So if I'm picking a duo that I want to build a team around, obviously with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, you can throw in a couple players in there, and a big center, and boom, that team is a playoff contending team like they are right now. In Boston, it's just them. You have a really good guard in Kemba. I wish they would get a starting caliber big as a center, but hopefully they'll get that figured out later. Or again, maybe it can be Taco Fall. That'd be awesome. But they're definitely safe for sure. And then it comes down to would I rather build a team around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid or Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. Now I think Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal are getting a lot of shade and hate because what's going on in Washington, but that's really just because of they're a new team with a new star. I think they also have a new coach, or maybe it's their coach. I think he's been coaching there a while, but the coach is definitely one of the problems there. He's not doing anything differently. He's trying to play Russ, I think, too much like John Wall, which they are very similar, but they're not the same player. And then on the other hand, you have Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, who we know for a fact that things have to change for them to be successful, and so far they aren't. They're doing the same thing that they've been doing every single year. Ben Simmons is the same player he's been since his rookie year. He hasn't done anything different, and it's hurting them. It's hurting them significantly. Ben Simmons needs to integrate more of the new NBA style of basketball, and he's just not doing it. He's a great defender, great ball facilitator, can be a great point forward for the NBA, but dude, this dude can't score the ball like he should be. He averages right now like 13, 14 points per game for a player who we all know can be one of the best players in the entire NBA, and he's just not doing it. And then you have Joel Embiid, who's one of the top centers, just can't stay healthy. So that's probably his biggest sort of thing. And also sometimes when he plays, he doesn't play the right way, which is also pretty annoying. So I think obviously the biggest risk are the Sixers duo, then the Wizards duo. But from what I'm seeing, I think I am going to take Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. So I'm going to start, I think, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. That one's pretty easy. I'm going to bench Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and then I'm going to cut out Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. Also just because, I feel like they just need the ball in their hands too much. I feel like Russ needs the ball in his hands a lot to be great. I think Bradley Beal needs the ball in his hands a lot to be great. Sure, they can both have the ball in their hands and both score, the 50, 60 points combined and be totally fine. But as we've seen, that doesn't really add to team success. I think the unselfishness of Ben Simmons, I'm not saying Russell isn't unselfish, but the unselfishness of Ben Simmons and, the hopeful scoring ability of Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons adding to that, plus his defense is killer, and plus Joel Embiid's defense can be killer. I think that's what adds more to